Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ohio State here at the Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Garrison Gaddy, joined here by our special guest, Max Chadwick from the PFF College Football Show. Max, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Garrett. Thanks for having me on, man.
No, I'm glad to have you back, man. Last time I had you, got a lot of positive feedback on here. I'm always the guy who talks about the man analytics, but I do love people like you that have their heads deep into the analytics of the game. I always tell people, it does tell a story. Stats tell a story. Some people like to call it box score watching, but it does matter at the end of the day. But I wanted to talk to you because on a recent episode of yours, you guys were talking about Julian Sayin, and you went out and called him the best quarterback in college football, which I do agree with you right now. I'm on full blown Julian Sayin Heisman propaganda talk right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I wanted to hear from you. What was your opinion on Julian Sayin coming into the season, and then what is it now compared to that?
Yeah, I thought that he had potential going into the year, right? But you wanted to temper your expectations enough because he was, a redshirt freshman quarterback. And I know he was a five-star recruit out of high school, but we've seen time and time again, 5 stars don't always live up to the hype, right? So it was hard to really have it was hard for me to expect a lot from him because yes, he was set up really nicely with those receivers, and the offensive line is playing a lot better this year too. But it was still, redshirt freshman. You haven't really seen him much play this year. I know he was talented, but I wanted to see what he could actually do. And now, like you said, I do think he's the best quarterback that we have in college football right now. I think he's the most accurate by far quarterback in the country right now. His accuracy is off the charts right now. And I think right now he has an 80% completion rate. And if that stands, that'll be the all-time record, right? So it's crazy what that kid is doing right now. And yes, he does have great receivers to throw to, but I also think he's elevating the receivers just as much as they're elevating him, honestly. Julian Sayin, man, what he's doing right now, I agree with you. I am full tilt. I think he should be the Heisman Trophy favorite right now.
Yeah, I for me personally, when I look back at the beginning of the season, I had lofty expectations for Julian, but that's because I kind of sometimes, and I can't be wrong. Don't get me wrong. I definitely can do that. But I try to see the forest from the trees. And I look back at the fact that Nick Saban wanted him as his quarterback. I always laugh about that. The story about Coach Saban's wife going to Julian's parents and saying that they wish they had him for that game against Texas, where Milroe kind of threw the game away. Quinn Ewers not there and balled out, but I think about that, and then he was a 5-star quarterback, and whenever we talk about the weapons that Julian has, which basically almost every college quarterback at Ohio State has, I guess you could give a caveat to Justin Fields in terms of what C.J. Stroud had. But I think to myself, when C.J. had Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and JSN, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Jameson Williams, he had the best wide receiver in the nation, but I didn't see a lot of people taking away from what C.J. Stroud did on the field. I think as the season prolongs now, when Julian's throwing 80%, like you said, he's about to break on pace to break the college football record, which also, by the way, Will Howard set the Ohio State record last year for completion percentage. It's amazing. And also, sometimes I forget that he is a redshirt freshman. Right now, when you look at him on the field, you look at him from game 1 from Texas to last week, what's the most impressive thing about his game right now?
I think it's got to be the accuracy. I really do. I think that guy, we have this thing called key plays at PFF, which are basically any play that did not get a 0 grade. And what a 0 grade for PFF means is basically you did your job, right? You're not getting a positive grade or a negative grade. You simply just did your job. So a key play is anything that got a positive grade or a negative grade for us. And I was watching Julian Sayin's key plays a couple weeks ago, and he had like 100 key plays. And it felt like I was watching a highlight reel, right? There are very few negative plays that we had for him. He just does not miss. The kid is unbelievably accurate right now. And it felt like that Texas game, they were kind of holding him back a little bit because it was a huge game. It was his first career start. And they're saying, hey, just go out there and don't mess it up. Now it feels like most recently they're letting him cut it loose a little bit. And now you're seeing, okay, this guy, like the Wisconsin game, for example, you can see like, okay, this guy is really a legitimate superstar right now. And yeah, I think the accuracy is off the charts right now. And I think, anyone who's talking about the weapons for Julian Sayin, to me, the conversation around Sayin and those receivers is very reminiscent of the one that we had in 2019 with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, where everyone was like, oh, it's Burrow elevating those receivers. No, it's actually those receivers elevating Joe Burrow. What if it's just both of them that are unbelievable? Right? Look at Joe Burrow now, what he's doing in the NFL. Look at Jamar Chase now and Justin Jefferson now. They're all superstars. Like, I think there's a really good case to be made that we're just going to see Julian Sayin, Jeremiah Smith, and Carnell Tate all be outstanding players in the NFL too. I think that's what we're looking at right now. I don't know if it'll be at quite the level as those three were, and Burrow, Jefferson, and Chase are all among the best in the NFL right now at their positions. But I do think it's, like I said, it's both of them elevating each other right now. I don't think it's one elevating the other. I think Julian Sayin is a superstar quarterback, and I think he has two superstar receivers in Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith.
One of the things I've loved watching about Julian, especially in this last game, he threw the ball through 36 completions for 42 attempts. Right now I'm looking at you guys' scores right now for some of the running backs, where like Bo Jackson has 69.8, C.J. Donaldson has 67.6. Where if you ask most Buckeye fans on the run grades, also it shows they didn't do that well. But I also like is that Julian keeps his eyes downfield. And when, I think a lot of Ohio State fans are used to Buckeyes throwing the ball just, 20, 30 yards down the field at all times. But Julian, he's perfectly fine dumping it down. He sees his running backs can get 5, 10, 15 yards after the catch. A lot of that also has to do with the fact that he has great pocket presence, better than what I thought he would have. And don't get me wrong, the offensive line has been great for him. Hasn't really let him get pressured at all, let alone sacked. But yeah, I mean, you look at the accuracy, his overall game is honestly just efficient. He doesn't waste any steps. He doesn't waste arm movement. Actually, I think you guys talked about this early in the season, where you guys said that, what did you guys say? That you guys said that he has the most consistent arm mechanics. Yeah, that's what it was. You guys see some great things over there. But but when I heard that, I was like, man. So I honestly start focusing on that. And, yeah, just the overall efficiency of his game is just outstanding. Yeah,
really. And my co-host Dalton Washman had the lofty comparison to Drew Brees, right? Drew Brees is one of the 10 greatest quarterbacks of all time.
I'm with you, brother.
Yeah, right. I mean, he's like that accuracy, right? It's just like, dude, and maybe Julian doesn't have the A+ physical tools that we see from Josh Allen or Justin Herbert or Patrick Mahomes, but there's quarterbacks like Joe Burrow that also don't have those A+ tools, or Drew Brees that don't have the A+ tools, that are still superstar quarterbacks because of the accuracy and the processing ability, just everything, right? And I think the ball placement for Julian Sayin is unbelievable, which goes into the accuracy a little bit too. Yeah, I think just what you see from Julian Sayin right now is just an absolute superstar. And like, you got to keep reminding yourself that this kid is not even draft eligible this year, right? He still has one more year of college ball, which is a terrifying sight for him and for everyone else in college football, that he and Jeremiah Smith still have one more year together, which is crazy. So I think it's really exciting time right now to be an Ohio State fan. And not only could Ohio State go back-to-back this year, I mean, with those two leading the way, they could go back-to-back with those two. I mean, seriously, it is crazy what I'm seeing from Julian Sayin right now, and Jeremiah Smith, obviously, and Carnell Tate this year too. And, the fact that they have maybe the best quarterback in the country for at least 2 more years is pretty crazy.
Real quick on that, it's funny you say that, because before the season, I didn't have Ohio State make it to the national championship. I thought they would get to the playoff, but I thought they'd probably falter somewhere around the first, second round. I actually had LSU Clemson. It was Clemson winning the national championship. Wrong there. Very wrong. But no, I actually thought that 2026 would be the year for Ohio State. You got Jeremiah's last year. What looks like now would be Julian's last year also, with him being a redshirt freshman. And then you look at the defense now. Defense definitely had where we were, but that's a different conversation. But yeah, I just think it's really funny you say that, man. Just the thought. I've seen just about everything in my life as a Buckeye fan. I've seen the Heisman. I've seen domination over the team up north. I've seen championships, multiple championships in every single type of, BCS, AP, every single type of way, CFP. But I have never seen a back-to-back, and most teams haven't. So, but I'm like, once I see that, I can tell the good Lord to take me home. But But then another question here: what are the most impressive scores on PFF for Julian right now?
Yeah, I think it's the adjusted completion rate, I think is what I'd point to first. And obviously right now he has the best passing grade in the country at 92.3. So if you want to look at that, he's been unbelievable too. But the adjusted completion rate is 85.5%. And anyone who doesn't know what adjusted completion rate is, it's basically your completion percentage plus any drops your receivers have too. So really any throw that's on target. Julian Sayin has been on target for over 85% of his passes, which is the best in the country by 3 points right now. So he's been unbelievable. The accuracy is just what I keep going back to with him. He just does not miss. And he's been so good from a clean pocket. I believe right now he's actually the highest graded quarterback against the blitz this year too. So blitzes don't work on this guy either. He's so calm back there. The mechanics are always so clean, no matter if he's blitzed or not, or pressured or not. You rarely see his mechanics falter, which is why he's so unbelievably accurate. This kid is a quarterback's quarterback right now, right? It's not, again, like I said before, he's not a guy that maybe he has actually the highest passing grade in the country from blitz this year, and he is sixth when he's not blitz this year. So there's really like no answers for Julian Sayin, it feels like right now. I think just Julian Sayin, what he's done this year is unbelievable. And, you can see usually recruiting rankings are very much based on physical tools for the most part. So when you have a guy like Julian Sayin who doesn't have elite physical tools, still be a top 10 recruit coming out of high school, that should tell you just how accurate and how good of a quarterback he actually is. And he's showing it right now. And right now, I do believe he's the best quarterback in the country.
Yeah, we talk about recruiting wise, a lot of it does have to do with the attributes you have physically. I mean, the two other guys that he was going to fight for that number one quarterback spot with were Dylan Raiola and DJ Lagway, which, I mean, in terms of size, those two guys are massive quarterbacks with a lot of, Lagway is definitely a better athlete than him. I'll tell you, Dylan Raiola, man, I think he has to get enough credit this season. I think what he's been doing over the past has been outstanding. I think if he had like an LSU, they'd definitely be much better. And then my last question for you here, Max, is what are the things that you believe that Julian Sayin has to work on, things that he has to improve on, whether it be on what you see with your own eyes, what PFF says? What do you think that for him to hit that next level, to make that next jump, he needs to do?
It's tough because, like I said, I think he already is the best quarterback in the country. I think just continue to develop physically, right? You got to remind yourself that this still is a kid. I believe he just turned 20 years old recently, right? So he's only a redshirt freshman. So keep developing physically. Maybe get a little more arm talent in there with more reps in the weight room. But like other than that, like I can't really complain about anything else. The mechanics are clean. Usually for young quarterbacks, the mechanics is the number one thing you got to work on. I mean, look at DJ Lagway right now. I think his mechanics are all over the place, and that's why he's struggling right now at Florida in year two. Julian's got that down pat right now. The accuracy is not an issue for Julian Sayin either. He's got enough arm talent. It's not like he's got a weak arm out there. Like I think it's like a BB plus arm. But yeah, I think just continue developing physically. I think that's the number one thing for him right now. Other than that, like I said before, he's elite against pressure. He's elite when kept clean. He's elite against the blitz. He's elite when not blitzed. He's great against man coverage and great against zone coverage too. There's not a lot to complain about right now. I think just overall physically, if he could develop even more, which he will, because he's like I said, he's still a very young kid, then yeah, he could be even better and become, I don't even know what he could become, honestly, at this point, if he could get a little bit stronger. But I think that's the biggest thing right now, because you do watch the tape on him. He does look a little bit smaller out there, but it doesn't matter because he's been so unbelievable this year. So I think, continue developing physically is probably the number one thing, obviously, for Julian. But it's hard to find any glaring weakness right now when he is the best quarterback in the country.
I'll tell you what, one thing I do want to – I wouldn't call it a weakness of his. It's just something I want to see more. I think this past week against Wisconsin, he had his best throw of the year, that touchdown pass to Brandon Ennis. He was on the rolling out to his right. I do want to see him roll out a little bit more, see him have more chances at it. I do think he's more athletic than what people give him credit for. I think in high school, his last season, he ran for 600 yards, actually. So, or his career, he ran for 600 yards. So I would like to see that more. The physical stuff, he definitely needs to get bigger. You can look at him, see he's a little bit slender. You look at guys like Russell Wilson back at Wisconsin, he was there. Or even Kyler Murray. I mean, they look undersized. They are undersized, but they're pretty hefty guys with more muscular build, more fat on them. But yeah, man. Well, Max, appreciate you, man, coming here for this short conversation. Really do love talking to you about it, man. Love watching your content. If you would like to see more of Max's content, you guys can follow him or watch him at PFF, the PFF College Football Show on YouTube. Max, you will let everyone else know where they can find you. And do you have any new upcoming articles and content coming out you want to let them know?
Yeah, sure. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you want to find me on Twitter, it's at CFB Max Chadwick. Like you mentioned before, the PFF College Football Show. We go live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. previewing the biggest games of the week, and then every Sunday at 9 a.m. Recapping the biggest games of the week with all the PFF grades and numbers that we have for every game too. So that's when we go live every Tuesday and Sunday on the channel. So go check it out on YouTube or anywhere you get a podcast too.
I will say that I have to assume that before the season, you guys thought you would be previewing the Ohio State Penn State game. I have to assume that you guys probably won't, huh?
Yeah, as a lifelong Penn State fan, it sucks what's going on right now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, yeah, I actually my dad and my uncle and my brother, who are all Penn State fans too, they were gonna come out and visit me because I live in Cincinnati right now, where PFF is located, which is obviously like an hour and a half drive away from Columbus. So they were going to come visit me, and we're all going to go to the game together. And like, obviously, they don't get out here that often, so I was really looking forward to it. And my dad, like 2 weeks ago, called me. He's like, "Hey, we're not coming anymore. Like, it's pointless for us to come now." And I was like, "You know what? I get it. I'll see you guys Thanksgiving." But yeah, so it's unfortunately not as big of a game as we thought it would be going into the year. And yeah, with Drew Aller out, with Penn State on an interim coach right now, it could get pretty ugly in Columbus in next weekend.
Yeah, it definitely could. Well, again, Max, appreciate you for showing up tonight, man, or today, man. Everyone, if you would like to, please go ahead and like, share, subscribe to the channel. And as always,